When I look back on the early 2020s, I remember the fear.
New York City has been the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak in the United States.
10 million workers now applying for unemployment.
50 million unemployment claims filed in the span of just 4 months.
A disproportionate number are Black.
The weather was getting hotter. The storms were getting bigger. There were empty shelves, skyrocketing grocery bills, and bidding wars over apartments.
In New York City, $4,000 a month for rent, a 24% increase from a year ago.
The air choked us, and the sky turned orange.
The air quality in New York City today was the worst in the entire world.
And while there was never enough money to help us,
the Education Department says $120 million will be eliminated from pre-K and 3K programs, along with rollbacks to summer school.
We watched in horror as our tax dollars bought an endless stream of bombs. Those in power looked away from the suffering, but we found hope in each other. We fed each other, fought for each other, emerged from the isolation of quarantine to bear witness to the pain of strangers. While we commuted through flash floods and blizzards, our neighbors came to our rescue. Together, we started building a new world. Every crisis we faced pushed new people to help.
Think of children. Think of those who are unborn yet.
Think of those who are unborn yet.
That's who you're protecting.
That's who you're protecting.
Not dirty money.
Not dirty money.
We're not going to take it anymore. We're going to stand up. This is just the beginning. We are just getting started.
We dreamed of a livable future. But with only 5 years left before the 2030 climate deadline, the crisis was already creeping in. Homelessness in New York was at Great Depression-era levels.
Number totals more than 100,000 New York City school children that experienced homelessness.
Globally, climate change was driving more families to migrate to New York. Families who needed good jobs, safe homes, and a healthy climate as much as we did. Nearly half of the pollution in New York State was coming from buildings, including the dilapidated apartment buildings we could barely afford to live in. What would it take to meet these crises head on? Looking back now, it's hard to remember how impossible victory seemed when we launched the Livable New York campaign in 2024. Back when billionaires still existed, their grip on New York seemed tighter than ever. Our governor refused to spend money on anything other than tax breaks for her biggest donors.
Hochul proposed a deal that would give the Buffalo Bills $850 million in public funds to help the team build a new $1.4 billion stadium.
Instead of trying to solve the challenges facing our state, she and the mayor used crime and immigration to divide us.
The governor, joined by members of the MTA, announcing a 1,000 state police, MTA officers, even members of New York's National Guard will now support random bag checks in subway stations.
But the seeds of a new world had already been planted. The networks we built to survive a pandemic, defend Black lives, welcome the newest New Yorkers, and fight to end a genocide kept growing and growing. Together, we built a new political common sense where life is precious.
We are resorting to putting our bodies on the line.
On the line.
For all people.
For all people.
In all the places.
In all the places.
That we love.
That we love.
Publicly financed elections became the norm, and billionaires lost their hold on our democracy. Livable New York passed and invested billions in a climate jobs program and a new social housing development authority. And our communities got to work, building our livable future. Pollution from buildings was eliminated, making our homes safer and healthier for our families. Across the country, beautiful social housing rose up in place of the tent cities that were once so common. All of this created so many new, high-paying union jobs that everyone was welcome to work, including those who had been excluded before. We had no idea that the thousands of jobs created by Livable New York would transform our economy. Workers built power in every industry. We passed new laws banning wealth hoarding, and our communities thrived. There was more than enough for everyone. Our communities were safer than ever and welcomed new arrivals with open arms.
New immigrant, you are a newcomer. The best city to you to live is in New York.
The changes that we made here in New York inspired the world. I'm so glad we didn't give up when everything felt hopeless. Because pushing the limits of what's possible
We don't get it!